You're watching Man Coverage with Nate Schmidt and James Bonneville on National Streaming Sports.
Good morning, everyone. It is August 24th, 2025. This is Man Coverage. I am Knoxville Nate, and that is James Bonneville. We are here with you live on week 0 of college football. James, how the hell are you doing?
Any better be a crime. Christmas came early, so we are good to go.
Yeah, well, we have some college football in the books, buddy. We got a little week 0 is upon us, and actually some decent ball games yesterday. I've got to say that I was pretty impressed actually with both Iowa State and Kansas State. I didn't know if they just ranked those two teams because they were playing in week 0 and they wanted us to watch. I wasn't sure, but after watching both of those teams play and operate, I think they both warrant a ranking. James, what did you think about Iowa State and Kansas State, since we'll get right into some college football action? What did you think of those two teams, and did you think they both are worthy of the preseason ranking?
I do. I mean, quite frankly, let's be honest. Matt Campbell and Chris Kleiman run really quality programs. Both execute the ball really well. I felt bad that this is a week 0 game because this is going to be an important game in the Big 12, and we're playing this game in Ireland. I mean, great if they're playing in Ireland, but the conditions really were not good. I mean, I was really worried that they were going to have a lot of injuries yesterday just based on the field conditions and the rain. So,
yeah, the field was garbage. You couldn't even tell what yard line you were on because the yard lines all washed away from the rain and the way that the field was not draining properly. I thought that was kind of bullshit how they couldn't get the field right. I mean, you pay all this money to get these two teams over there. You could at least have a playable surface, but it's ridiculous to me when you can't tell what yard line you're on. So, yeah, I guess we're lucky that nobody got injured. But that being said, it still looked like two quality football teams. And I was pretty impressed with, both quarterbacks, honestly. I liked, what Rocco Becht had to do. He wasn't as efficient as you would like, but it was week 1. What do you want week 0? What do you want in week 0? I thought for being a week 0 game, he looked pretty good. He finished with 183 yards and also a pair of touchdowns. So I liked what Rocco Becht had to do. I was also impressed with their wide receivers. A couple of them made some good grabs. That Hansen was a pretty good looking running back. And then on the Kansas State side, I was really impressed with Avery Johnson. I thought he was pretty efficient. And then that Jace Brown, number 1, the wide receiver, he showed some burst. So do you think, even though Kansas State goes down with the loss, you still think they've got a shot in the Big 12? And do you think Iowa State has a chance to win the Big 12 after watching these two teams play yesterday?
I do. First, I want to go with Kansas State. Honestly, you look at this team, Dylan Edwards going down on that punt return really hurt them.
Yeah.
Taking him off the field was a real hamper, especially with those kind of conditions where a first or a second cut, somebody slipping out and start the music, the school song is going to be going off. So really losing him really hampered that offense as a whole, because now they could sit back and they knew it had to come from Avery Johnson where that offense was going to come. And Avery Johnson, good quarterback, but throwing wise, sometimes inconsistent. I would have done more double moves if I was K-State. When they did double moves, especially that touchdown down the stretch.
Yeah.
that got them back in the game. But I mean,
why would you not run that play again? He was standing in the end zone by himself. I'm like, I would run that play until they stopped it, or at least run it again, because they were completely confused on that.
I mean, this was a game where if you looked at just the box score, you were going to sit there and wonder, how did K-State lose this game? Because a lot of the categories, K-State won it, but it was just bad turnovers the wrong time. And when given the chance, Iowa State executed really, really well, which is, let's be honest, a staple of this Iowa State football team during the Matt Campbell era. I mean, he is the all-time winningest coach in Iowa State history. Yeah, that's not saying much, but Iowa State being ranked on a consistent basis is impressive. I mean, their closest airport to bring kids in is Des Moines, which is about 45 minutes away from Ames. I mean, they have all the disadvantages. They're the second big. They're always going to play second fiddle to Iowa. I mean, what Matt Campbell has done there, and he's turned down other jobs, NFL jobs, other programs. He's taken less money to keep his staff there. I mean, it's impressive. I mean, and you look at Carson Hansen, the Lakeville South product. I'm impressed. I mean, this kid runs really, really hard. He fits the embodiment of what Campbell is trying to do in Ames.
Yeah. No, and the only reason I was laughing was because no other coach has actually won there. So to be the winningest coach, it's not that tough. All you have to do is win. But the fact that he has consistently won there, produced NFL talent, is amazing. I mean, his quarterback is starting for the 49ers. You know, the wide receiver from last year got drafted by the Houston Texans and is going to play a pivotal role for them. And they've got talent on this team. As I mentioned, I thought that Hansen ran the ball well. I thought that their defense was opportunistic. I was actually kind of impressed with the way their defense played. And then, as you mentioned, the way that Campbell coaches, they took advantage of mistakes that Kansas State made. They played good on special teams. They recovered a couple of fumbles, and that ended up being the difference of the game. Let's go across the Pacific Ocean to the islands, and I guess the Big Island, and talk about our boy Timmy Chang, the old quarterback of the Hawaii Rainbow Warriors. You know, that program has had some really rough times in the past couple of years, but they were a couple of point favorite over the Stanford Cardinal yesterday and ended up going out and getting it done and spoiling Frank Reich's opener as far as being the head coach, not the interim coach, and ended up winning the game 23-20. Now, Stanford jumped on top early 10-0, and I thought this might be going poorly for Hawaii. But, you know, that I don't know how you pronounce his name, Alejado?
I guess, yeah.
I don't know. He looked pretty good, man. I saw him get injured there at the end, but, you know, it was a pretty efficient 27 of 39, running the old June Jones run and shoot. I mean, he really hasn't changed a whole lot of this offense since June Jones was there, but it was effective. You know, Hawaii moved the ball all day long. Stanford, you know, still looks a little bit undermanned. What did you think about these two teams? And are both of their seasons hopeless, or could any of these teams maybe string together some wins?
I think Stanford's really going to have a struggle bus this year. I mean, especially playing the ACC when you got to travel across the country for all those games. I mean, honestly, I would be shocked if Stanford finished above last. I think Frank Reich is they had after the firing of was it Troy Taylor. I mean, they just had issues with people transferring out. A guy we're going to be talking about very shortly too as well. Is part of that transfer group, and they really don't have much of a talent pool there. But Timmy Chang is a good student of the game of football, and I mean, you look at the Alejandro kid. He's a Bishop Gorman kid.
Yeah.
And I mean, how many times we see the top 10 year after year after year? Yeah. Does he fit the profile? No, he's 5'10", $180. Yeah. But he knows how to play the system and he knows the game overall, and they go out there and win. I mean, honestly, the biggest story I loved out of this is really, I mean, it became the game winner overall was the kicker. Many people probably don't even know this story. Is the kicker who had the game-winning field goal last night, and his name is escaping me, and I'll probably butcher it to death, is Japanese. And he came over and went to a game one time in the States and was so infatuated with it. Matsuzawa, yeah. He came back and learned how to kick a football in Japan by watching Jason Myers videos, and then started putting out letters to coaches in the States. Some school in Ohio took a run at him, and look at him today. He's the game winner for the Hawaii Rainbow Warriors. I mean, what a great story. I mean, guy who became interested coming to the States, goes to a football game out of the blue, loves it so much and wanted to become a kicker, and now wins the game over the Stanford Cardinal. Great win for the Hawaii Rainbow Warriors.
It really was a good win. And you know what? This was a fun game to watch. I watched it at about 2 a.m. last night because I'm crazy like that. But it was actually a fun game to watch. Now, it looked like week 0. There was some mistakes. Hawaii had a tremendous amount of penalties in the first half. It was absolutely ridiculous. 2 quarterback roughing the passer penalties when they had them stopped, dead to rights. We're going to make them punt 2 times, and they hit the quarterback in the head. So, there's some things for Coach Chang to clean up. But all in all, I thought this was a pretty exciting game. I love that quarterback. I hope that he's not injured too badly and that he's able to come back and play, because he was the difference maker for Hawaii. And you got to give props as well to that. How many good running backs has Stanford have? I don't understand what it is, but they have an absolutely amazing running back in Michael Ford. How long until Stanford and Cal programs are canceled? I don't know. I mean, that's a good question. I mean, it may happen, honestly, just with funding and with the inability to put funds into those programs. It's definitely a possibility. Now, I do think it helped both of those programs that they got in the ACC. Don't you, James?
I do, but honestly, I could see long term they go to that new Pac-12 or Pac whatever the hell it's going to be called, just because of travel costs. I mean, that is just absolutely freaking ludicrous what they're going to have to deal with going across the country. I mean,
but luckily they had SMU and Clemson both get into the football playoff. That gives you what, $13-14 million that's then divided up among the teams. I mean, that's not going to pay for their travel costs, but that's going to give them some pocket change.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, the problem is you look at Stanford, they care more about those Olympic sports than they do football. I mean, prior to Jim Harbaugh, man, there was the once in a while Tyrone Willingham years, but by and large, this program has been a struggle bus because they want to be viewed as an academic institution, and they'll try to handcuff the football and basketball programs.
It's very true. And, it may happen someday where they could, get out of there and potentially, not have football anymore. And that's certainly a possibility for not just these 2 teams. I mean, we talk about it all the time. If the NCAA is dissolved, or if these power conferences move away from the NCAA, it's very possible that some of these programs like Stanford, like Cal, even Hawaii potentially could lose their football programs due to funding and due to lack of support.
Yeah.
If these mega conferences are what's going to, what we're moving to, it's very, these programs are very susceptible about losing what they have. And which would be a shame because, Hawaii has had some good football teams. And you think back about Timmy Chang, Colt Brennan, some of those guys, Travis LeBoy. I mean, there's some names, Ashley Lalee. There's been some ballers come out of Hawaii, and I always enjoyed watching that offense, whether it's June Jones calling the plays or Timmy Chang. It's pretty interesting to watch. But another program that was not quite as fun to watch was the Fresno State Bulldogs. Obviously, Jeff Tedford, I believe his name is, was their coach and had to retire due to health concerns after last season. And they, looked okay in the first quarter. And then after that, it was a bunch of zeros. The Jayhawks came out with a 31-7 victory. Do you think this is more, James, of Kansas being good, or is this more of Fresno State being terrible? Because you could make the case either way.
Well, I mean, Ent's coming in as a new coach. There's going to be that transition. They have a lot of kids that transferred out. But Kansas has got some players. I mean, people forget Jalen Daniels is there. I mean,
he's been there for like 20 years, it feels like.
Yeah. He was in college. He was in the same recruiting year as it was CJ Stroud, and there was another kid, and he was getting covered up by Stroud, and who was the other kid? I'm trying to remember off the top of my head. And I'm looking at him like, how is this kid like a low 3-star? When you look at him, he's like, he was anywhere else in the country, he'd probably be a mid 4-star.
Yeah.
And goes to Kansas, and look what he does yesterday. 18 to 20. I mean,
three touchdowns.
3 touchdowns. I mean, great way to kick off the new football stadium at Kansas. Thank God they got rid of the old one, because that thing was, I mean, there were high school fields that were better than that. There were D2 fields better than that. And it's great to see the Jayhawks playing in a new football stadium at the Booth. David Booth putting that money into it, not only into the football stadium, but the hedge fund manager dropping in $225 million NIL. I mean, we may see the Jayhawks transition from being a basketball school to like, dare I say it, a football school?
Well, they certainly didn't look like a basketball school last year. That Kansas Jayhawks basketball team was embarrassing. So they do need football to come to the forefront if they're going to keep playing like that on the hardwood. But yeah, man, I mean, this team looked ready to go week 0. They've got the coach. I mean, that's, the primary focus in college football, in my opinion, is getting the damn coach first. You have to bring in the guy that can be that general manager, that can be that head coach, get the culture right, get his systems, offensive and defensive, installed. And then you go from there, man, and try and get some players. And they've got the quarterback. I could see Kansas potentially, if they can get some balls to bounce their way, I could see them potentially giving some teams trouble this year in the conference. I mean, what do you think?
They could. I mean, that Big 12, and we're going to cover that in a bit. It's a tough conference overall. I mean, that you need the right schedule. You need things to bump your way, but I mean, they're going to be a quality program, and I could see them playing in a bowl game this year for sure.
Yeah, I could too. And another team that played in a bowl game last year and looked pretty solid was the UNLV Running Rebs. Yesterday, Dan Mullen's first game as the UNLV Running Rebs coach. Not so much, man. I was not as impressed with UNLV. They struggled mightily, especially in the first half against Idaho State, which is an FCS team. So that, would be troublesome, especially the way that UNLV played last year. James, the good news is they did establish a running game. The UNLV Running Rebs went on the ground for over 307 yards. So I guess it was a good thing they were playing an FCS opponent, because when they realized not much was working, they could just run them over. What did you think about Dan Mullen's opener for the UNLV team?
Well, I was wondering who they were going to start at quarterback, because they had a little bit of a battle going into camp between Anthony Calandria, who I was big at Virginia, and you get Alex Orji, the former Michigan.
Yeah.
And I was wondering who was going to start there. Calandria got the job and really played his type of game as usual. I mean, like you just said, 307 yards on the ground, but total offense, 539 overall.
Yeah.
Now, what I would be a little worried about was that defense gave up over 550 yards to a 1AA program that is probably known for Jared Allen and what else?
Yeah, not much.
I mean, they're not a good 1AA program, and they had to struggle for that victory.
Yeah, they did. They did, especially in the first half, and even some in the second half. They were getting outplayed at times. Yeah,
they were losing late in the beginning of the fourth quarter. I mean, how in the world a program that honestly I think you would have said that would have had a real chance of winning the Mountain West?
Yeah.
I mean, granted, it's week 0, crap happens, and they had a lot of turnover in that program. New coach.
But lots of guys transfer out. But, yeah, I mean, Kelly's right. The defense was garbage. all day, and a program that they expected to just push around on the offensive and defensive lines. Now, they did run for 300 yards, so we can give their offensive line some credit, but their defensive line looked like crap and got shoved around quite a bit. So hopefully Dan will get back and take them to the woodshed at practice on Monday, because they need some work out there in UNLV. So we'll see what happens there, but certainly a good looking week 0. Is there any of the other games, James, that we didn't highlight that stuck out to you, or anything else you want to cover as far as
not really? I mean, because there's only 2 other games. There's a Tarleton State, Portland State game, and then Sam Houston State against Western Kentucky.
Yeah.
I mean, Western Kentucky, 401 yards through the air, got shocker, Wow, Western Kentucky throws the ball. Who would have thought it? So,
pretty crazy. Them throwing the football. They seem to. It doesn't matter like who the quarterback is. Western Kentucky's signal caller throws for like 5,000 yards every season, which is pretty crazy. So, we're going to go and jump to cover a little bit of the ACC preview, and we're going to break down that conference in its totality, and then also do a little bit of a preview for next week's games, obviously. So stay tuned.
Football season is here, and SeatGeek is my go-to for buying tickets. Now with SeatGeek, every single ticket is backed with their buyer guarantee. We've all had plans change, and when you can't make it to the big game, SeatGeek has you covered. They're the only ticketer that allows you to return your tickets ahead of the event for credit with SeatGeek swaps. So when things come up, I know that my tickets won't go to waste. So what are you waiting for? Download the SeatGeek app to maximize your possibilities and shop live events with confidence.
Yes, sir. And as we mentioned, it is college football time in America. Get to the games. Go and watch your football games. Go to SeatGeek.com. Type in promo code NSS. Get your 20% discount on tickets right now. Kind of fun. I got to watch a little high school football on Friday night. Unfortunately, it was the game that we were at got canceled due to lightning. So it was kind of a bummer. We drove all the way out there. I drug my family out onto the stands while it was raining. And then they kicked us out of the stadium, James. So pretty fun stuff. This new era in sports has certainly changed, because I didn't even see any lightning. But, if it's within 10, 20 miles, or if they see lightning anywhere in the world, they have to cancel the game. So that was kind of unfortunate, but we did get to see some high school football in the area here. It was pretty exciting to get the ball kicked off and have football going once again. Obviously, next week we've got some big time games going down all across college football, and we have several going down in the ACC conference. I think the one to highlight most would be the Clemson LSU game. I think that's going to show us a lot about those two teams. I think it's going to show us a lot about what Clemson's got going into this season. And I certainly think that's going to be one to watch. And we're going to talk a little bit about the ACC conference. I think that you would agree with me that Clemson is probably the front runner, James, and probably head and shoulders better than the rest of the league. I would put Clemson in tier 1. We're going to do a power rankings later, but I have them kind of in tier 1. And then I have a tier 2 with Miami, SMU, Louisville, and Georgia Tech. What do you got as far as stacking these teams, just as a general preview for 2025?
I would go Clemson number 1. And honestly, I go back to really what Clemson's known for during the Dabo era. Their best teams have been at that defensive line. And I mean, TJ Parker and Peter Woods are real players. I mean, across that front line. I mean, they have more depth than they've had in years past. I mean, DeMonte Capehart and Will Helt. I mean, this is a strong defensive line. Now, is it to the extreme where we saw during those national championship years? No, and I don't think we'll ever see that again during the transfer portal era. But, man, I mean, Clemson is looking a lot better. And honestly, I don't know if there's anybody that can even take them on in the ACC this year. And that LSU game, it could dictate a lot when we're going into the college football playoff.
I agree. And I think that Dabo He's taken, his own approach to this. He was very against the transfer portal when that started going, and he was very reluctant to bring guys into his program because he likes to go handpick his players and he likes to develop them himself, which I completely understand. And so he's been hesitant to use the portal, but he's not afraid to put freshmen out on the field. He's not afraid to go out and get somebody that maybe other guys are not looking at as hard. And he does like a certain type of dude. And, he's got his guys back together. But that's certainly where, if you look back to those teams that won the national championship in Clemson, it was because of their defensive line. They were dominant. They had 4 guys that got drafted in the first round, early second, that one year because they just were all fantastic football players. And that's kind of what they're trying to get back to now with Peter Woods and TJ Parker. And talking about freshman guys that are coming in to 2025, I look at Clemson first. A guy that sticks out to me is the Virginia Gatorade Player of the Year running back Gideon Davidson, the number 3 running back in all of the country for 2025. I think he is going to get some playing time early. I think he's going to probably push for starting time and definitely be a force in the running game. He kind of reminds some people of ETN. I don't know if I'd go that far yet, but he's certainly a talented running back. He's the one that kind of sticks out to me as far as a freshman from Clemson. And then I've got a Demetrius Samuel Jr., the kind of athlete player from Syracuse. Ran a 10.5 100 meters. He's only 17 years old as he reclassified. And then also the S.J. Alafatuli, the offensive guard, the quarterback for Hawaii that we talked about. This was his center at Bishop Gorman. I think he's probably going to push for some playing time. Maybe not at the beginning of the year, but certainly going in. Any other freshmen, James, that stick out to you that you think are going to stick out in this ACC 2025 season?
I'm going a different direction and looking at the line of scrimmage. And I like a guy named Amari Adams out of Clemson. Real high profile kid, really fits in that same line of what Dabo's done in the past of building the strength in this team on that line of scrimmage, especially the defensive line. Do I think he's going to start? No, but I think he's going to get plenty of playing time in this really strengthened defensive front for Clemson and Death Valley. Another kid who I really a big fan of is Draymond Downs, the tackle out of SMU. I could see him getting some serious playing time. 5-star kid out of Houston. I think he really this is the type of kid Houston wouldn't have got SMU would have gotten 3 years ago. Now look at him today. Being in the ACC, making it to the freaking college football playoff. Now they're getting a 5-star talent. They're getting back to recruiting the type of talent they did during the Pony Express era. Now let's hope they're not, granted, they're probably paying for it too as well, but
they're paying the same amount of money.
I mean, it's interesting how what Rhett Lashley is building in Dallas for that program. I mean, this is becoming a better and better program every day.
Yeah, they freaking came out of nowhere last year and just fired onto the scene with that offense and really kind of impressed me and kind of took me a little bit, by surprise with what they were able to do and making the college football playoff. I don't think anybody picked them to do that at the beginning of the season, but it looks like they're here to stay. They've got their quarterback coming back. They certainly can do that. Let's talk about some of the, not freshmen, but other newcomers to the ACC and some transfers to watch. I think probably the first one we've got to talk about is our boy over here who got led into the hurricane, so to speak, by one of the Cavender twins and then dumped him the day after he signed his paperwork and then had her probably boyfriend steal his Lamborghini. That aside, what do you think we can expect this year from Bart Simpson / Carson Beck? I mean, are we going to see the Carson Beck from 2 years ago that was a pretty good pocket presence? I mean, when he's got a running game, James, this guy's a pretty good passer of the football. We saw last year when the running game wasn't so good, he struggled a little bit. What do you expect from him at Miami?
I hate to say it, but I think what we saw last year out of Carson Beck was the real Carson Beck. Like, I'm kind of shocked he stayed in college. after that good year. I would have gone to the pros and got his freaking money because I think he would have been a top 5 pick in that draft. And now I don't know if he's a first rounder or a second rounder. He's got to show something. I mean, his touchdown to interception, I mean, he had some really bad interceptions. And now he's talking about it's great to be behind a real offensive line in Miami. And I'm like, wow, you had possibly one of the best offensive lines in Georgia history.
Yeah.
And you're making that statement. I'm like, this just got it's sad, honestly. I hope he does better, but it's Miami. I mean, every single time we keep telling Miami's back, Miami's back. I'm sorry. Ed Reed and Bernie Kosar aren't coming out of that locker room.
Bernie Kosar.
Howard Schnellenberger and Jimmy Johnson aren't going to be roaming that sidelines. I mean, Butch Davis hasn't thought about Miami in a couple decades.
Larry Coker.
Larry Coker. I mean, it's crazy. And yet we're still saying the same stuff. And honestly, they're going to be a lot higher because the ACC is weak. But I if they go up against other programs, man, they're in trouble in a major freaking way.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy to me to think this guy is 24-3 as a starter at Georgia. He threw for over 8,000 yards and 63 touchdowns. I don't know if that's more a product of Georgia or of Carson Beck. There was times he looked good, but last year I feel like he got exposed. There's tape on him now that people have been able to watch and figure out what he does and what he doesn't do. And that's, to me, the biggest thing that I think about when I think about this guy is that people know what his, what his faults are. And that, they were shown pretty blindly in games last year. So I'm hoping that he, can step, for Miami's sake, that he can step up and play like he did the year before. But I'm like you, I feel like this guy is not going to bring Miami back. And I feel like Cam Ward was a step above this guy as far as a college football and NFL prospect.
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, honestly, look at how much his production went down after Brock Bowers and Ladd McConkey went to the pros.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's a big selling point right there.
I mean, the defense was still good, but it wasn't as good as the year before.
No.
I mean, it is mind-boggling. I mean, yeah, you're going to get short fields and a really good offense. As long as you don't screw up, yeah, you're going to do something. So I mean, I don't know. I don't know what to buy. I mean, Mark Fletcher's a good running back there. I mean, they got adequate receivers. I don't know. I don't buy it until it actually happens more than 1 year. I don't buy Miami.
No, I don't either. And they claim the defense is going to be fixed. They got a new defensive coordinator. They went out to the portal. I get all that. They did that the year before as well, and it didn't work out. Let's talk about another kid, kind of not as high profile because he came from Tulane, but this is a kid who wasn't even really supposed to start for Tulane last year, out of San Luis Obispo, California, and he comes out in his redshirt freshman year and wins the starting job, throws for almost 2,800 yards and 23 touchdowns, wins 9 games for the Green Wave, and then he gets $3 million to go to Duke. First off, the fact that Duke paid $3 million for a football player blows my freaking mind. And secondly, that they paid $3 million for a football player from Tulane blows my mind even further. What do you think about this kid, James? And do you think he's going to be better than what they had last year in Malik Murphy? I couldn't believe Malik Murphy transferred. I didn't really understand that. He plays well. They win 9 games in Manny Diaz's rookie season as the head coach in Duke. Everything's looking great. And then he transfers out before the damn bowl game and lets him get curb stomped by Ole Miss. I thought that was a bad look, bro. And I thought it would have been smart for him to stay. Is this guy an upgrade in your opinion?
It makes me wonder if there were some locker room issues on why Murphy left. I mean, this Mensa kid reminds me a lot of Cam Ward. He's the little engine that could. Everybody keeps not looking at him like he's under recruited, undervalued. All he does is win. all he does is produce. And Duke has been one of those programs since when Cutcliffe came back and really re-energized the program, that they're football-wise, they're the little engine that could. They're never going to have the star power that a Clemson has in this program. They're just not. They're just, at the end of the day, no matter how hard you try it, this is going to be a basketball school. You look at their facilities. I mean, they've made Wade Stadium has been upgraded, but not to the extent where you're going to see at other programs. But it is impressive what Duke has done and what Manny Diaz has really continued on with the Cutcliffe era at Duke. And I think this kid's going to be solid for him. I mean, honestly, I could see Duke once again making another freaking bowl game.
I do too. And I'm telling you, man, I could see potential growth in this program. I mean, you think about it, they had Mike Elko. He goes out, wins games that probably shouldn't have won, lifts this program up. He leaves for takes a bag of cash to go to Texas A&M. I kind of thought this program would fall back apart, honestly.
I did too.
I really did. I was like, what are they going to do now? They're not going to get anybody to come coach there. This is going to be a shit show. And they go out and get Manny Diaz, which I was like, man, that's a good hire. This guy was not that bad at Miami. I don't think it was him that was the problem down there. I mean, was he the greatest coach in the world? No, but it was Miami. And look, Mario Cristobal's 500, and they're paying him $100 million.
Yeah.
So I thought that the Manny Diaz hire was good. I thought that the fact that after Malik Murphy left, they went out and got this kid. That to me stands up too, bro. I mean, that shows me that this program is kind of dedicated to trying to find success, that they're willing to go out and spend the money to bring a kid in when their other quarterback leaves, for no reason, essentially. They replace him with this guy. And this guy, I think, might be more talented than Malik Murphy. Now, maybe not physically talented. That Malik Murphy's got all the tools, bro. There's no doubt about that. But when you look on the field, sometimes you're kind of like, what's he doing? And this kid could be the answer for Duke. And in a conference that's not that deep, this is a tier 3 team, in my opinion, that could potentially move into tier 2 if this guy can light it up, right?
I mean, heck, if everything comes together, they could be a tier 1 team. I mean, look Riley Leonard wasn't that high profile coming out of high school. And look what he turned that program into. I mean, hell, he took Notre Dame to a national championship game, and this guy couldn't throw the ball beyond 20 yards.
Yeah, he played way better in those 4 games than I expected him to, and kind of really surprised me. Last name I've got for you as far as a transfer to watch is a kid who's kind of hard to describe in the sense that I don't know what he is. Is he a tight end? Is he a wide receiver? I'm not sure. He's definitely 6'6.5", 225, 230 pounds. To me, that sounds like a tight end. However, this guy, Deuce Robinson, showed some flashes at USC. He had 39 catches, almost 750 yards and 7 touchdowns. What do you think about bringing this kid into Florida State, James? And do you think he can make a difference for the Seminoles?
I do. I mean, this kid was very high profile coming out of high school. I think Deuce Robinson is a special talent. And you look at Florida State right now, I mean, they were a mess offensively. Now, everybody's going to blame DJU for this and DJU for that. But that offensive line was a mess. Their running game was schizophrenic. The receivers couldn't catch a cold. There were way bigger problems than just DJU.
Yes.
And I think people need to take a step back. I think Robinson getting out of USC was a good move because there's just so many freaking receivers at that program. You never get a chance to showcase yourself. Like you look at the kid we talked about last week, Zachariah Branch going to Georgia. Heck, he was in the same recruiting class with Robinson coming out of high school. I mean, this kid's a very high-profile talent, and you could put him in many different formations to see what he could do. I mean, I think this is a great move for Florida State, and it'd be interesting. I mean, the only thing that scares me with Florida State is they have so many transfers. I mean, they have 2, maybe 3 guys who were even on the roster last year that are starting for him this year.
Yeah, that might be a good thing because last year was a freaking disaster. This was a team that was ranked in the top 10 in the preseason poll, which my feeling on preseason polls, they shouldn't exist. However, They were supposed to be a good football team, and everything and anything that could go wrong went wrong. They ended up winning 2 games, and it was a freaking disaster. So we'll see. They couldn't fire their coach because they had just given him a massive extension with a huge amount of money. So there was no moving on from Coach Norvell. So they had to try and build up players. Any other transfers that stick out to you, James, that I missed?
2, and one I'm actually shocked we didn't talk about last week during our quarterback battles was the new quarterback at Cal. And I'm going to butcher his name, so I'm apologizing up front, but Jaron Kiwe Sagatueli, the freshman quarterback who beat out Devin Brown at Cal. You know my thoughts on Devin Brown, how I thought he could have worn 99 at quarterback, and I would have felt the exact same way. He really did not do well. And this kid transferred in from Oregon, freshman kid, 4-star out of Hawaii. This kid, I'm excited to see what he can do in that offense. And then Xavier Lucas, the corner, left Wisconsin to go to Miami. Yeah, there's some background stories of how he ended up at Miami. Some ethical issues, but this kid's a player.
You mean they bought him?
Yeah, they bought him. Yeah.
They bought him and tampered with him, and nobody cares. Yeah, we talked about that a little bit last week with the NCAA being a freaking joke. There's no enforcement. Why even have rules? Because there's no one enforcing the rules. But whatever, I do like that kid, and I'm happy for Cal. I'm glad that they've got another quarterback when last year they got a quarterback out of nowhere, and he, boom, transfers right away to Indiana. So I'm hoping that this kid plays well and stays there. Because as Kelly mentioned earlier in the show, Cal and Stanford are 2 teams that could possibly lose football. And I'd like them to hopefully have some resurgence here. I don't know if Stanford's going to do it after watching them play yesterday, but maybe Cal can be good, Devin Brown, to me, is a backup quarterback in college football. He's a guy that if you need someone to start like 4 games, he could maybe win 2 of them for you. And you don't do a 4-game slide. That's about what he is, in my opinion. But not ripping on the kid. I'm just being honest. So that's what I think of him. But 3 new coaches this year in the ACC to talk about. And obviously the first one in UNC, we mentioned before when we were doing our coaches and the new guys, is Bill Belichick, Frank Reich at Stanford, and then also Dickert at Wake Forest. Which of these 3 guys you think will have the biggest impact in year 1, James?
Belichick, Dickert, and who's the third one again? Reich?
Frank Reich and Stanford.
God, that's a tough one. I got to go with Belichick. Yeah, I still am not bought on it. I mean, I think there was some talent that left North Carolina to go to the pros, Mari and Hampton, and rarely do I ever talk about a guy who didn't get drafted, who will be playing on Sundays, is that little guard center named Willie Hampton. I mean, 5'10", 5'11", 270. But when you watched him, man, that guy, for a guy that undersized in the line of scrimmage, found ways from a technique point to really push people around. And he's doing it in the preseason. I mean, I don't know what this team's going to look like. I mean, they lost Howard Sampson to Texas Tech.
They lost Bo Atkinson to Ohio State.
Exactly.
Their double-digit 11 sack guy who is now taking the starting position away from Caden Curry in his senior year. I mean, this guy, he fits what Larry Johnson wants to do on the defensive line. So I think that's a big loss for UNC. And I'm trying to figure out how they come in and start passing money out and forget Bo Atkinson when they're handing cash out. To me, that was kind of confusing that they just let him walk. But I do think that UNC is going to be interesting to watch. Obviously they've got the whole shit show going on with Mr. Belichick and his girlfriend, who are playing house over there in the athletic facility, and she's having to be copied on every email. This thing, if he wins 10 games, no one's going to care, James.
No.
If they lose, start losing ball games, it's just going to blow up in their faces. And to be honest, I could see it happening.
If he wins, he was supposed to. If he loses, it's a story. There's no
Correct.
upside. That's why I didn't understand why he took this job to begin with.
I don't either, especially when I thought some of the NFL teams were going to hire him this year, or at least look his way. I mean, they brought Pete Carroll back, and he's like 80 years old, and he's coaching the Raiders. Yeah. So I thought that Belichick would probably get another job in the NFL, and I think he probably should have done that because I don't know if this is going to work out, especially with his 19-year-old girlfriend running the show. Could be a problem. However, we've got our power rankings here. I believe these are the ESPN Sporting News power rankings. We got Clemson 1, where he talked about them. We got Miami 2, Georgia Tech 3, Louisville 4, SMU 5, and Duke 6. That's kind of, to me, where it stops as far as teams that are worth a flip. James, I don't know about Miami at 2. I think that's a little high. I got to be honest with you. I like the Georgia Tech squad a little bit better than I do Miami. I like Haynes King, the quarterback. I think he has got something to prove. I like their coach in Brent Key. I think he's done a phenomenal job. They're a tough team. They're hard-nosed. They're not intimidated. They've got 6 wins over ranked teams since Key took over. I don't know if they had 6 wins over ranked teams in the previous 3 regimes. What do you think about the power rankings here? How do you have them stacked? What would you change? Who would you push down? Who would you bring up?
I would bring down Miami first and foremost. I mean, honestly, Clemson's in a class by themselves. And then I look at Georgia Tech, Louisville, SMU, should be higher. I think it's interchangeable. Personally, granted, I am very biased. I would put Louisville second because Jeff Brom is probably one of the most underrated coaches in America. All he knows how to develop. Plus, he's got a running game with Isaac Brown. I'm intrigued what I'm seeing out of him. SMU, they got to bring a lot back. Kevin Jennings is back at quarterback. Yeah, you could go like that 3-4-5 could go 2-3-4. I think teams on the list going down, there's too many question marks. I may put Pittsburgh a little bit higher. Narduzzi does more with less than anybody I've ever seen. Desmond Rice or Reed at running back. Plus, I'm shocked to see Syracuse not higher. I mean, what we saw last year out of Fran Brown and how we developed that offense, I think could shock a few people. But
and he's got Steve Angeli.
Yeah.
Why is Syracuse not on this list? I'm telling you right now, I would not, and I know I'm going to get killed for this around here, but I would not be shocked if Syracuse went down to Atlanta and knocked off the Tennessee Vols. Would that
not at all
blow you away?
Not in the least. Not in the least.
I mean, this guy is a football coach. He gets his teams ready to play. He certainly won some crucial games last year with a kid that, Ohio State couldn't get rid of fast enough. And he's on to the NFL. And now you got Steve Angeli, who Notre Dame didn't want. He's got a chip on his shoulder. I think that Syracuse is a team to watch in this league. I think they should definitely be up there instead of Virginia Tech, possibly better than NC State. So I like them. Louisville also, to me, 4 is in a bad spot to put them. However, no. I like the quarterback in Miller Moss. I like the running back duo in Isaac Brown and Duke Watson. I think Louisville might be a team that could spoil some of the seasons for maybe a couple of those 3 teams that ESPN has ranked ahead of them.
What's funny is I look at Jeff Brom and I could easily see like coaches that I think could move on and coach in the NFL. I would probably put him on top of the list of coaches I could think. I mean, Grant, he played at Louisville, from Louisville. I have a hard time seeing him leave Louisville, except if it's the NFL. But he's that kind of a coach. I think he's what he did at Purdue with, in some cases, no talent was unbelievable.
Yeah, no, and I think the questions, once again, just like last year on defense, can they, get stops when they have to? Can they make plays when they've got to save their offense, to get their offense some rest? What can this defense do? For Coach Brom, and I think he's got kind of a more hands-on approach this year with that unit, and hopefully he can make them improved. What about Virginia Tech? Things have not gone well since Mr. Beamer retired, and it's just kind of been a shit show all over the place with the Hokies, and it's kind of sad to watch because this was a program that was a perennial top 20 team, and now they're just kind of meh at best. Last season's year was 6-7 finish. It was a massive disappointment for a team that had high hopes. They had a lot of injuries. I'm not going to make excuses for them, but they didn't lose a regular season game by more than 10 points. So if they could maybe change that around, could they be better?
I look at their schedule, and I don't know how Brett Pry keeps his job.
Well, he's 1-12 in games decided by 7 points or less. That's not a good way to keep your job.
Yeah, I look at him and Tony Elliott, and I would get the boxes ready, honestly. I mean, you look at Virginia Tech, their identity has been decimated since Beamer left.
Yeah.
I mean,
there is no identity.
If there was any way they could bring Shane Beamer back, and
That's...
even then, I don't know if it's possible in the NIL era that they could actually get back to what they once were.
I agree, but I do think that's their only hope. I don't know how much money they might have to give to him, but I would put it in a box. I would go to his house and I would hand it to him and say, please come and help us. We need you, because he's really their only hope. And as you mentioned, their schedule, not easy. They start the season against South Carolina. Lost. Then they play, I think, is it Vandy?
Vandy.
Lost. Yeah, Vandy. There's loss number 2 potentially. Then they play NC State, Wake, Georgia Tech, Cal, Louisville, Florida State, Miami, and Virginia. As far as an ACC schedule goes, it's not easy. So no. I'm with you, man. I think it could be another long season over there in Virginia Tech, Hokie land. Unfortunately, I just don't see enough talent there to bring them back to where they once were.
If they didn't beat Virginia in the last game last year, I think Brett Pry would have been fired last year.
Yeah, that probably did save his job. And maybe some people were unhappy that they did win, because then they had to keep him. That is not good when you're like wanting your team to lose so you can fire your coach. That's when you know things have taken a turn for the worse.
I mean, if you were Virginia Tech and you can't get Brett Pry, who would you turn to? I've got a few names up my sleeve, but I want to hear you first.
For the job at Virginia Tech?
Yeah.
I mean, I already told you. That's what I would do. I would go and talk to, South Carolina, Virginia Tech. What's the difference there?
But I mean, if you can't get Beamer, who do you go to then?
I don't know.
Their only names I can think of would be Jeff Traylor at UTSA, but I think he's waiting for one of the Texas schools to open up, or John Summerall at Tulane. But he just literally got the job at Tulane.
Yeah, he just got the job there. And I was kind of shocked that Jamie Chadwell didn't get a bigger, job. I thought he was going to get hired at a Power 4 conference, and he kind of made a lateral move in my opinion. And this
financially he got paid.
I understand, but he went from Coastal Carolina to Liberty.
Yeah.
Who gives a shit? Come on. I think that he's a guy that could potentially go in here and turn this around with the way that he can create explosive offenses. That's a guy that I could see potentially do it, but it's going to take somebody with a lot of energy and a little bit of crazy going on. And that's why Shane Beamer is the dude that comes to mind, because that guy is nuts. But he gets his kids to play for him, and man, he's gotten South Carolina back to a spot that they have not been since Stephen J. Spurrier was the head coach there. Moving on here, because we're about to run out of time, I do want to preview for a moment a little bit about what's coming down the pipe next week. We have a couple of games. I already mentioned the Syracuse-Tennessee game, 12 noon kick on ABC, the Aflac kickoff game in Atlanta. I already mentioned that I think Syracuse could win this game. Now, I know Tennessee's defense is good. I like what they bring back on defense. I love the middle linebacker, Arion Carter. I like their defensive backs. I like the D-line. However, I'm not sold on this Joey Aguilar kid. I think it's a bad sign that he won the job, that he's been on the team for a month and a half, and he beat out the two guys that have been here for a while. The freshman, not so much, but Merklinger's been there for two plus years. That worries me. What do you think about the Aflac kickoff game with Syracuse and Tennessee, James?
I think Syracuse can win that game. I do. I mean, it's what I want to see Tennessee do is what they did last year. Get the ball in the Bishop's hands.
Yeah.
Let play like they did with Sampson. Now, calling Bishop Sampson is big, but I think he's got the potential to do it, and they got to win with that defense if they're going to win this game. Because the receiving core is not nearly what it once was 2 years ago.
No, not even close. And Tennessee is favored by 13.5. If I had money, I would go and dump it on Syracuse right now. I mean, could Syracuse potentially lose this game? Oh, yeah. Are they going to lose by 14? I don't think so, bro. I don't see Tennessee winning this game by 14. I think that line is ludicrous.
Yeah.
And not the rapper. Moving on, we've got another game that I want to highlight here. 3:30 game on ABC is the Alabama Crimson Tide versus the Florida State Seminoles. This is kind of a good game to watch. Both these teams disappointed last year, kind of more so on the Florida State side, but definitely, the Bama faithful were not happy with 4 losses in Kalen DeBoer's first year. Do you see Florida State having any shot of winning this game against Bama?
Everything's going to have to come together. And Tony Castellanos and that receiving core with Squirrel Light and Robinson really have got to play big in many ways, because they're not going to win on the line of scrimmage. They're just not.
No, I agree. And it's another game where the line is 13.5. Again,
yeah.
I don't know why they're loving that 13.5 line, but I don't know if they're going to win by 14, James.
When's the last time you see Florida State play at home and be double-digit dogs?
It's been a while, since before Bobby Bowden was in town, and he was the coach there for 30 years. So that to me is a little bit shocking in itself. Lastly, but second to lastly, I want to talk about the LSU Clemson game one more time. Obviously, LSU's coming in ranked number 9 in the preseason. Clemson is number 4. What would LSU have to do to win this game? Brian Kelly is yet to win an opener since he's been the coach there. Let's just be honest. Things have not been all positive for Brian Kelly at his time in Baton Rouge, the big red stick. Notre Dame's gotten better, and LSU's kind of been meh. What do you think about this game, and who are you picking, James, if you've got to? The line, just so you know, is Clemson by 4.
I'd take Clemson, and I think the
points.
Yeah, I do. I'm going to take them in the points, and the reason being is I go back to, it's funny. You go back pre-Brian Kelly. Their offense and defensive lines were always so good, especially LSU's like off the edge. Their DNs, it's like they grew them on trees down there. They just came out every year. There was a DN who just attacked the quarterback. They don't have that or the depth that they once did. I mean, it's just I look at this game, I'm like, it's LSU's offensive line versus Clemson's defensive line, and I would be lying to you if I took LSU's offensive line. I mean, Clemson's defensive line is legit this year.
And LSU lost 2 guys to the NFL and another guy to transfer.
I mean, honestly, I love Garrett Nussmeier. But if he's on his back 5 times in this game, this could get ugly.
Yeah, I agree. Catholics versus the convicts.
Part 28.
Part 29. And let's just be honest, the convicts have not really been the same in a long time. Now, Notre Dame is favored by 2.5. This is a game that I believe is being played on Sunday. I got Notre Dame in this one, buddy. What do you got?
You know, CJ Carr getting the nod shocked me because everything I kept hearing out of camp was Kenny Minshew was just ripping it up. And I think this was an NIL decision. I think both were going to get playing time, but I think end of the day, I mean, that running back room in Notre Dame is pretty legit. And I think you're going to see them really control the line of scrimmage and take it away. Until Miami shows me something, I don't buy it.
Yeah, me neither. And I think, Jeremiah Love is one of the best running backs in the country. Notre Dame proved they could run the football at anybody as of last year. And I think they run over Miami once again. James, now we got the big one. Who you got? Texas Longhorns coming in to the shoe.
What?
Playing Ohio State on Saturday next week. Who you got in that one?
I thought for sure we were going to be talking about Old Dominion going to Bloomington. You caught me off guard there. No, I'm taking Ohio State.
Nice.
Seeing some of the stuff on Twitter about how Texas believes they're going to win by 21, and there's not one position group that they're worse in. I'm like, on what effing planet do you live on? Because the receiving core, their number one receiver would be maybe what, third string? Wingo would be second string on Ohio State.
I'd take Carnell Tate over him any day.
I mean, he wouldn't start over Jeremiah Smith. No, I mean, he played with Ennis. You're gonna take Tefell over Downs at safety. I mean, go down the line. Yeah,
I like that. I like the Buckeyes corners better too. Matthews
absolutely.
Jr. and Igbenusu. I like Igbenusu. I like both of them better than the Texas corners. The only thing that worries me, as I've mentioned multiple times, is our D line.
Yes.
Not because they're not talented, just because they haven't had to do it. They haven't had to carry the mail, so to speak, be the guys. But if anybody can get them ready, it's Larry Johnson. The only other issue, and James, we got about 30 seconds here, but I do want to get your thoughts on the new coordinators. Brian Hartline is going to be calling plays as opposed to Chip Kelly. And then we got Matt Patricia, who hasn't coached in college since he was a GA at Syracuse in like 2002. He's going to be calling the defense. Are you worried at all about the coordinator situation in Columbus?
I'm less about the offensive side of the ball because Day has always been so heavily involved in that. Defensive, I am, because whenever you bring a guy from the pros back to college, the playbook's not as big because guess what? At the end of the day, they are still students. Does he uncomplicated enough to make it to help benefit those guys, especially with a new defensive line?
Yeah, well, I think they're going to be all right. The defense was the key to this team last year. The reason that Ohio State won the national championship, obviously Jeremiah Smith was good, Travion Henderson, Judkins, all those guys were great. Will Howard did his thing. But the reason that team won the national championship was because of their defense. They came up with stops at the most opportune moments. They were able to make big plays. Jack Sawyer, they were able to get it done on the defensive line and win against tackles and guards. And now, I feel pretty good about the linebacker population. I mean, they have some true studs playing linebacker, Arvell Reese, Sonny Styles. Those guys are legit. So it's going to be a fun game, man. And I really hope the Buckeyes win, because if they lose, we'll have the same morons calling for Ryan Day to be fired. It's going to happen. So
once those morons actually put some cash in the game, the second they say you want him fired, fine, you're paying his buyout.
Yeah.
All you.
I always tell those people, you be the coach. It's a good job. You get $12 million a year. Once you put your name in the hat there, Johnny from Utah, who has never played football or coached in his life. But yeah, going to be a huge week one in college football. I'm looking forward to it. I hope everybody enjoyed the ACC preview. We appreciate everybody tuning in, people making comments. Come back and see us next week. Same bat time, same bat channel. James, enjoy week one, and I'll talk to you again real soon, okay?
Late.
Have a good one.
National Streaming Sports is brought to you in part by BetUs.com, designed for true fans. NFL odds, week one, and futures. college football odds, including Heisman Trophy favorites and playoff odds, NBA odds of division winners and playoffs, Major League Baseball playoff and World Series odds, the National Hockey League Conference playoffs and Stanley Cup odds, and boxing wagers. Betting opportunities include versus the spreads and outright winners, also during the game. Use our link on our website, nessp.info, the Bet Us Opportunities webpage for a 125% bonus on your first 3 deposits. Must be 21 years old, and remember, bet responsibly.